Welcome back, everybody. I am Modern Randy, and today we're going over a Lutri deck. And before we go into that, as always, guys, if you like what you're doing, like what I'm doing, like what you're seeing, go ahead and leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what kind of interesting decks have caught your eye in Modern this season, as well as what you think is going to be taking down the RC and DC here in just a couple weeks. And with all that out of the way, let's get to this deck. So Lutri is one of the companions that they made forever ago. It is a 3/2 for a generic, and then a red, a blue, or a red and blue. And it has flash, and then so when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, you can copy target instant or sorcery, and you may choose new targets for the copy. So this has always kind of been more of a meme deck as a whole, because part of like the way to have this as a companion is that each of your non-land cards has to have a different name in your starting deck. So basically you have to play, a bunch of one-ups, which is not good in a format like Modern, where you want your 4 counter spells, you want your 4 removal spells, you want your ability to do what you want when you want, essentially, or consistently enough. So Lutri's always kind of been like this meme style deck, and the reason why I'm even talking about it today is it did get 3rd place in a challenge recently. So it did kind of like do something well. I don't think this is going to break the format. I think this is still more of a meme deck, but it's always fun when this deck kind of shows up. And I love to talk about it because I think it's just one of the funnest little things you can do, right? So this is obviously a Is It deck. We are playing a bunch of one-ofs and kind of just going to go over what they're doing and kind of like what the game plan for the deck is, essentially. So notably, we'll start off with, 0 cost. We're playing with a Mistress Bauble because why not? We need to fill up our deck anyway. We have, 1 Consider, 1 Opt, 1 Preordain, basically the best, 1-drop spells we have for figuring out what we're drawing, what we're doing, some card selection, essentially. Of course, we're going to be playing Spell Pierce, Spell Snare, and Stern Scalding, all good counter spells. We get to play 1 Tamiyo to help, draw through our deck with its Investigation. We get to play 1 Dragon's Rage Channeler to help smooth out our draws. We get to play Fork Bolt, Galvanic Discharge, Lightning Bolt, and Unholy Heat is all our removal, along with, a Flame of Anor as well to help with the removal. And then 1 Ragavan, because why wouldn't we? We get to play Dress Down, Blizzard Sugar, Lose Focus, a card that no one should be playing. As a counter spell, we're playing Remand, Snapcaster Mage to buy back all of our one-ofs, Thundertrap Trainer just to, again, help us find our one-ofs. We have Counterspell, Special Iteration, Logic Knot, just a whole bunch of like fun. All the cards you want to play that you can't actually play in Modern, right? Like, no one should be playing Logic Knot realistically. No one should really be playing Lose Focus. Brain Surge, which supposedly is actually a good card. I've yet to cast this card, so I can't say for sure, but I have heard people argue that it's actually a playable Magic card. I disagree, since we still have Orcus Bowmaster in the format. When that card gets banned or is no longer playable, I will start casting Brain Surge. Toss's Tidebinder, Brazen Borrower, Force Negation, Harbinger of the Seas to help block out our opponent, along with a Blood Moon. We'll get them one way or the other, folks. We got them. We have Narset to hit, again, all of our one-ofs. Sink into Super, because why not? Play with Norks, we need more removal and card draw. And Volt Polarity, because we are really hoping to win some flips to win this game. Along with Fire and Ice and Subtlety, and then a Lorian's Revealed, as well as a Murktide Regent. Looking over this deck, it's really impressive that it was able to get 3rd place in a challenge. I don't think this deck is horrendous. I don't think this deck is good, though, either. I mean, you're playing a bunch of one-ofs. It's kind of one of those decks where I think if you run super hot and your opponents don't, you could probably do well with this deck. I mean, we do have a Castle Vantress and a Hall of Storm Giants and an Otawara to help, mitigate flood and such, along with, 2 Thundering Falls. But I don't know. It's funny when this deck does well, because I think this deck is always like a trap to play. I don't suggest you go take it to an RCQ or anything like that, but it is always fun to see, because it's a bunch of one-ofs that are cobbled together to hopefully, win you games out of nowhere, or win you games through a slow grind by having, the right counterspell at the right time, or the right removal spell at the right time type deal. So it is always funny when this deck does work or do well. That being said, I'll go over to the sideboard here real quick with its 15 one-ofs. So we have Surgical Extraction, Unlicensed Hearse, and Soul Guide Lantern, all here for the graveyard matchups, being able to, affect any deck that we're worried about with the graveyard, as well as Flage. Then we have a Magus to the Moon, Sitting Charmal and Dampening Sphere all here for the Tron matchups or the big mana matchups. We're playing Rough and Tumble, basically just for the rough side to be able to answer the energy decks, as well as any other small creature decks. Same thing, Pyroclasm and Vampire's Vengeance, which is a 3-mana instant that deals 2 damage to each non-vampire creature, and then you get to create a blood token. We are also running a Consign Memory, a Flusterstorm, a Mystical Dispute, and a Vidalian Click for all the control matchups, as well as 1 Threads of Disloyalty. I'm not really sure what this card is here for. I know it can come in against a couple of different decks that have like, you know, powerful 2-drops, 1-drops essentially, but I don't know if this is just like we need a 15th card and this is, or I guess 14th card, because Lutri's our 15th. But, you know, 14th card and this is just what they wanted to play or what, or if they had some kind of metagame idea in mind. But this is essentially just a Lutri deck. It's a fun deck to play. It's super weird. It's super interesting. Again, not going to be breaking any metas. Not going to be doing anything crazy. I don't recommend taking this to an RCQ, but I kind of had to talk about it just because it was able to get, you know, a 3rd place finish in a challenge that's not nothing, to say the least. So it is kind of impressive that it was able to do so well. And so I kind of had to bring it up to talk about it. It's just a fun little deck to play. It's a great deck to take to like an FNM, especially if you have a lot of these cards. You know, overall the deck's kind of super cheap because you need a bunch of 1-0s instead of, you know, 4 Ragavans or 4 Tamios or things like that, you know, so it is a little bit cheaper of a whole deck to play. Let me know what you guys think of this deck. Let me know what you guys think is going to take down the RC and DC here in a couple weeks, and I'll catch you guys next